In this presentation, I'll be talking about the building blocks of a modern computer. It's presentation one in the series of hopefully teaching you how to upgrade a PC. So here, I'll start off by talking about the processor and the memory. So we have two main processors. We have the Intel and we have the AMD. Those are the main manufacturers of processors. Processor is otherwise called a CPU. It's either made by AMD or Intel. This device takes instructions that are stored in computer memory and converts them to actions that we appreciate. Like a set of instructions might say, draw different colors at different positions on the screen. This gives rise to graphics, or a set of instructions that the computer gets from a mouse moved by the user might result in a cursor being moved across the screen. Next is memory. That's the CPU processes things. Next is memory. Memory is important. This is where programs or app code is stored in a computer just before it's just about to be executed by the CPU. It doesn't store as much information as the long-term memory, which stores all the apps that are ever loaded or bought for a computer, because not all apps that are ever bought will be run at once. For this reason, if you have a sluggish computer, run as few apps as you can at one time, close the other apps, and that goes for multi-browser sessions also. The memory is called DDR, DDR2, DDR3, DDR4, and DDR5 memory. With each new number, the memory has at least twice the speed increase of the lower number. You get a blank screen if you start the PC, and there's neither no functional memory or processor, or a non-functional memory or a non-functional processor, or both. Long-term storage. Long-term storage used to be only electromechanical and magnetic hard drives. It is now often solid-state drives, which are electronic and made by using the same principles as a USB drive. So here's a mechanical hard drive. It's mechanical, electrical, and magnetic. It stores values through magnetism. Here's an M2 solid-state drive. You need a special place on the computer where this plugs in, on the inside of the computer called the motherboard. And here's a normal solid state drive. It fits into a computer with the same connections as a sort of connections and cables as a mechanical solid state drive, but it's a lot faster. There may be a DDD drive for loading out, but these days that's often done by the internet. So these are almost all the components in a bare bones functional computer without an internet connection. The last remaining component is the motherboard, which joins all these components together. Without it, the components just be disparate. Motherboards. Motherboard is the device that connects the memory, processor, hard drive, and a solid-state drive. It also connects other components, sorry. The slots where electronic hardware called cards can go that can provide extra features like a faster internet speed with a network card. Graphics cards can provide gaming, image and video editing capabilities, as well as adding extra monitor connections. Sound cards can provide surround sound in the case you don't have it. There are lots of other types of cards. The trick is picking a motherboard that supports the performance and the cards you want. The boards differ in sizes, the number of components, and connections. Like we can see the dimensions for a Mini ITX, which is 2.5 inches by 6.7 inches by 6.7. You might have to download the PowerPoint presentation to see this. Then the Micro ATX is 9.6 by 9.6, going up to the extended ATX, the EATX, which is 13 inches by 12 inches. So here the first black component here is an ATX board, second largest. This is a Mini ITX, one of the smallest, and this is a Micro ATX, the third from largest. So you can see the labels underneath them now. I probably could have done this a bit better. Let's move on. PC cases, different sizes. When you know what you're doing and have all your components together on a motherboard, you can fit them into a case that corresponds to or is larger than the motherboard type. The motherboard type is also called a form factor. Below are two different types of motherboard case. Well, there are more than two types of motherboard case. One corresponds to the EATX, the largest motherboard size, the other to the ATX Micro ATX, and then the Mini ITX. You can fit the Mini ITX motherboard in the 4 tower. So here we have a 4 tower. It has 11 expansion bays. So you can fit a Mini ITX motherboard in a 4 tower, as the mouse and screws will be the same. But unless you run out of smaller Mini ITX cases, there's not much point. The expansion bays are for the connectors from the cards to poke out of motherboards, so you can use them. For example, the graphics card would take up one expansion bay, allowing you to connect monitors to it. The sound card would poke out of another expansion bay, allowing you to connect surround speakers to it. So here we have photos of the different types of motherboard. We have the 4 tower, the mid tower. Next we have the Micro ATX, and then we have the Mini ITX. So you can see on the 4th tower we have 11 expansion bays. Mid tower we have 8 expansion bays, 4 expansion bays on the Micro ATX, and 2 expansion bays on the Mini ITX. Smaller the motherboard, the less you can add to it, including memory and cards. So that's what I wanted to talk about in this brief presentation. Next week I'll do a presentation on upgrading a PC.